Let's get started. This isn't going to be another video where I pull a new Tormac out of a box and sharpen something and tell you about it. This is my 12-year-old Tormac. I've had 17 stones on this machine. I've done 53,000 knives. Some of the parts on this machine, though very robust, do break. I'm going to talk about those, and I'm going to talk about modifications that everybody should do to their Tormac to make it perform even better. One of the first modifications I've done is I take the leather strop wheel off. The wet grinding manufacturers all want to have all-in-one units, so they put it on. But the reality is, it's just too slow. It's also in your way. When you're sharpening a long object, whether it's a planer blade or a knife, it gets in the way. As soon as the wheel wears down a little bit, the diameter lessens, you end up not being able to do a straight draw across it. You're just better off buying a bench grinder and putting a hard wheel on it, like a rock hard felt or even a paper wheel that they sell, and you're better off. Hands down, one of the best features on a Tormac is your wheel changing nut. They use a very coarse thread on this, and it makes changing your wheels a breeze. The only problem with this system is that the shaft, the stainless steel shaft, passes through two plastic bushings as bearings, and those bearings occasionally need to be oiled. You take it off and you put a little oil behind it, and then you can change it. You can see here just how easy the wheels change, how you are able to just put the nut on without any tools. It tightens up and you're good to go. Great design. Okay, maybe you've heard of turboing your Tormac. Here's how you do it. This is a rubber drive wheel. The motor's arbor spins on it. If you look at mine, there's a small tube of aluminum. It's 3/8 of an inch on the inside, 1/2 inch on the outside. They sell it at most all hardware stores. Cut a 1-inch piece, epoxy it on. It increases the rate by 20%, and that's as fast as you can go before you start slinging water. This is especially important as your wheel gets smaller and the surface speed slows down. This is a must-do for every Tormac. Tormac's angle finder is one of the best on the market. It's really simple to use and very accurate. No matter what diameter your wheel is, it shows you where you should be placing your blade. It has magnets on the back so that you're able to stick it on your machine wherever it's convenient for you. There's several spots to pick. So here's how it works. You figure out what your drive wheel or what your grindstone diameter is. They have the marks on the edge. You set the first part of the gauge to that angle. You can see it right here. This is a fairly new wheel. Once you set that, you set the other side to the angle you want on your blade. This goes for chisels or whatever you're having. If you're just doing wood chisels, these little notches on the side work great for finding out what angle your chisel's at already, and you can set it up with that. I use it mostly for knife sharpening, and as my wheels change, I have to change it. So I put the blade flat in a flat surface. Some people tip, some people prefer to go back. It's fine. I prefer flat. So I have a catch tray. Water spills off the blades. It's nice to have it just run back into the tray. So this is how you do it. You set the first wheel to the angle, and you start moving the blade up until the flat surface of that second gauge you set is flat on the knife, being in the position you want to sharpen it. That's where your knife should always be placed. I have a marker down on my water catch tray that I've added. I look down the edge and I can see the different marks I have. There's 3 screws. I'll either be on the top of one screw, in between the screws, maybe on the 3rd screw, all depending on the diameter of the wheel and the angle I'm going for. You'll find that you don't have to go use this gauge every time you do it. You'll learn what diameter your stone is and where you should be over time. This flap of rubber on my water tray helps with the new speed of the Tormac. Sometimes the water tray will get a little bubbles in it, and those bubbles can be flung off the back of the wheel. If that starts happening, this rubber flap more than takes care of it, but also you can put just a couple drops of fabric softener into the water and it stops the bubbles. They just disappear. It's an easy fix. Tormek offers 3 different stones. This SG250 is the one that comes with the unit when it's shipped in. You can grade it to 300 if you leave it on coarse, 1000 if you regrade it with the fine grinding stone. You can also shape the corners to work with serrated knives like pocket knives and such. The Japanese stone is 4000 grit. It builds up with metal shavings on the outside, so I tuck in right here a piece of Scotch-Brite fabric, and it tends to continually rub the wheel, and it makes this less of a problem. It really slows you down when you're constantly having to clean the metal off your wheel. Tormek says to do it every 2 minutes. That's just too much. Okay, let's talk about the Tormek's Blackstone. I love the Blackstone. It was so aggressive. It really removes a lot of material. It does this by shedding the surface of the wheel, which means your wheels do wear faster. This is worth it when you're doing production work. The problem with this is that it would go out around. One side of the stone was just softer than the other side. I had this happen on several of my stones. I talked to Tormek. They blamed it on operator error. Now, I don't know how I was wearing the stone out around, since the first 2 that I had didn't do it, and the second 2 I had did it terribly. I'd say it's a manufacturing process change, and I just couldn't put up with it anymore. I've stopped using them. The out around's just too hard to work with. Okay, you probably noticed my tool holder mount is been removed. The reason I removed that, it's not any particular reason. I just needed it for another jig. I don't really use that anymore, but it's nothing more than that. Okay, this is the front of my Tarmac where the switch would be. Here's the cover that I've got covering my switch. I've had several switches go bad. Here's one of them, it's broken. Here's another one I've got, it's also broken. What I do now, since these kept going out and my warranty was up, is I just bypassed it, and I have a separate switch that when I flip it on, it turns on 3 different machines that I use simultaneously. This system just works better. I'm not flipping a bunch of machines off and on all day. Okay, lastly, I almost forgot this, and you probably noticed and wondered what this was all about. What's going on here is the drive wheels are made out of plastic. Normally you can't see them, but I've had 2 of these crack. They crack right through the center. There's a key pin that goes through the shaft, and the wheel slips over this, and that's where it splits. On the 3rd one it happened in the middle of the day. I was still working. I just had to rig this repair, and it turned out it worked so much better, I just left it. It's ugly as all get out, but it works. It looks like an apprentice made it, and but it was done in a pinch, and why mess with it now that it's fixed? So those are my tips. In my next video, I'm going to show you how I actually sharpen knives. I've got 2 versions of sharpening. Different customers prefer different ones. One's a toothy edge. One is a mirror finish edge using the Japanese waterstone. Both edges you could shave with. Both take right about a minute to do on a reasonably good condition knife. So subscribe so you're notified as soon as it comes out. Hit the like button. You got the routine. Thanks for watching.